All right, JAG University. Kevin, what is a collection policy?
So a collections policy is a specialized policy ensuring any high value items you may have. I like to think of it as if you can get an appraisal on it, it should probably be on a collections policy. So that would be things like jewelry, antiques, fine art,
guns, collectibles, anything in that nature.
wine collections, things like that.
That's a good point. I like that about being able to get an appraisal on it. You should separate it. Now, because I think the question comes up a lot on homeowners policies. People assume, right, on their personal property, covered C or contents, that some of these items are covered fully.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, this conversation happens after a claim should arise. Usually it's a theft claim, and people don't realize that there's a sublimit for these high value items, right, on covered C or on your personal property. Usually the sublimit could be $1,000, $1,500, $2,500 per category. That's kind of why these policies exist. It could be a collection policy, it could be a personal article policy, depending on which carrier, how they word it. But there are a lot of benefits for adding it separately, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Especially for jewelry and theft, as you mentioned, there's a sublimit, it might be $2,500. Let's say, okay, I have $100,000 in personal property. I have 3 Rolexes, and I think, okay, great, I'm good. Well, somebody breaks into your house and steals them. You get $2,500 back. You're not going to be good.
You're not getting hold again. And I think too, like that's where, I think the conversation happens when you're with your agent and really do a deeper dive of like what your needs are. If you're in the situation where you have an extensive collection, the first point is by scheduling it separately, right? You get coverage that extends outside of your home as well.
Correct.
And most people don't know that, right? So when you're traveling, you could be anywhere around the world where something were to happen, including mysterious appearance, your coverage is going to extend for those high value items, right? And look, the reason why this exists, insurance companies years ago, they'd be a theft claim and everybody had 5 watches, right? Everybody had 5 Rolexes. And I think that's what insurance companies do. They tend to react and not change kind of the forms. And they kind of want you to prove it. So, I recommend to anybody, if there's any stuff that you really care about and you get appraisal on it, definitely insure it separately.
Yep. And it's very simple, quick to do. And the cost is a lot lower than sometimes people would expect.
No, one advice too, let's go back into your homeowner's policy. So many times we look at, and I think this is a little more outside the box talk, is if, most people assume too that the replacement cost endorsement on your personal property, it's almost, they're paying that additional premium because they're concerned about some of the high value stuff, right? Wouldn't it be better to kind of remove that endorsement, lower your premium, but that savings ensure your actual collections more correctly, right?
Yeah, and those are exactly the conversations. Like if you go back to the JAG University on risk retention, where it's, hey, let's say my insurance budget for my personal belongings at home is right here. Maybe I'm spending $1,000 for replacement costs on my contents. I could reallocate that $1,000 to actually just insure what I care about on a collections policy.
That's difficult to replace.
It's difficult to replace,
Yep.
Get more coverage, be right around the same ballpark in premium, and feel more secure about what I'm doing. So that's why it's important to understand what the limitations are and, what your intent is with your coverage.